Thank you to new Tier 2 patron, Drifting Breath. Check out the fridge on Patreon for early access to new episodes and an exclusive solo podcast with Jim. Droomish is a PokeTuber that I think I have a lot in common with. Much like myself, Droomish had a big surge in attention and viewership on his Pokemon videos about a year ago, after a long period of posting miscellaneous gaming content before. But Droomish exists in a different side of the PokeTube world, with videos focused on the authentic in-game experience of the Pokemon games, as opposed to the made-up rule sets played on fake battle simulators that I focus on. It is tough to stand out and establish yourself in the oversaturated world of Pokemon YouTube, but Droomish has managed to do so with his creative video topics focused on very specific details or mechanics within the Pokemon games. A video specifically about trash cans in Pokemon has almost 500,000 views, and a video investigating the false claims made by the blue rival in the Fire Red and Leaf Green games has almost 1 million. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me on the fridge today, Droomish. And how are you?
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I'm having a great day so far. How are you?
I'm good. You've been a commonly requested guest. Even though our content's pretty different, it seems like we have a lot of crossover in our community. There's a lot of Droomish fans in my comments and stream chats, personally.
I think that's really fun because I've started to ever since not super recently, but LRXC turned me on to your content and your fun activities, and I think it makes for a really good crossover. And I especially like that you engage in lore in you tell stories in a way that I think captivates me, that like sort of crosses the barrier, so to speak. And I'm really drawn to that, and I think it kind of gets me into that frame of mind, and then I think you sort of get into my frame of mind with that storytelling. So I think it's really fun that we can do this and that there is the overlap.
You're talking about my horse council nonsense?
I really do like that one. I was charmed by your Lanoon video as well. I believe there was talk of a French lobby like invading the video, and I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, I don't know how I come up with this nonsense, but just the twisted mind of Jimothy Cool. But it was because Lanoon was used by a French player in the World Cup, and therefore he's French. I don't know. It doesn't make any damn sense. But I'm glad that you appreciate that, and the viewers do as well, apparently. And your videos have a lot of fun visual gags and skits and little jokes in there that I appreciate too.
Oh, good. I always always run stuff that makes me laugh, and I always think, is this dumb? Is people gonna write me an essay about how I'm distracting from the point of how interesting trash cans are when I run a bit about some show that I'm really into? But it usually pans out to my fortune, I suppose.
I mean, I think the same thing whenever I do my little gags, but yeah.
It's just, and the thing that is so impressive to me that I always enjoy seeing, because it is very, it's very daunting for me I like the competitive stuff, and I'm definitely into it to a certain extent as a spectator, but I think I always notice that your community gets into it in a different way that I can really appreciate when people are sounding off in the chat with their alliteration for the Pokemon of the day that you're running, the Muck Monday or Houndoom's horror or something, and like that's like those are such happy moments for me, because like everybody's loving everything here. Pokemon is a fun, silly game. We're also taking it seriously while also being fun and silly. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I talked about that a bit with the previous guest Glidus, how I kind of treat the Pokemon as like an individual character instead of a species of Pokemon that there's like 100 of or whatever. It's like Muck is just one guy, and like I'm using Muck today. What's he gonna provide for me? What's his story? And then that it's like the variance of what can happen in a Gen 3 or U game becomes a little storyline on its own. Like Leedian getting the ancient power boost at the Silver Wind boost exactly at the point to live a Breloom Sky uppercut, and then he gets Muck punched. Like that's just a ridiculous sequence of events that is now seared into the minds of gamers everywhere.
Now everybody's begging you to play Ledian in the next battle, and that always it delights me when, because that's like the loop that you've created. You do something like that with Ledian, and then the chat erupts with demands for Ledian, and you have to say, now, watch out, everybody. Ledian is not actually that good. We all need to calm down a little bit. I'm not going to run Ledian all night.
It's going to ruin his legacy if we bring him back. He's not going to pull that off again. What are the odds of that?
I'm hoping high. I'm definitely one of those people. I love that. It's so much fun to have those. To have that characterization. And I think it's just exactly right. Not that there's a right or anything, but like I love that design for it, and it was so interesting when that Lanoon video that you had, and I mean this was purely coincidence, and I made a more competitive video of my own also about Lanoon, and I think it was like within a week of each other, and I got to watch them back to back, and I was so happy with the I don't know, the similarity but dissimilarity at the same time, because I knew that we both did the character analysis thing, essentially, like viewing them as the individual, as a fighter on a journey, doing some activity on their road to success, and I was quite charmed by it. I was like, yeah, this, like, we're like I don't know, mirrors almost, sort of, with the like storytelling ratio.
That's true, yeah. I think it's interesting because I don't really care too much about the single player side of Pokemon. I've just played competitive for so long that the magic of that has kind of lost its luster for me. As a child, I liked the games, but I do view it from a very competitive lens. But even through a competitive lens, I think you can still have fun with it in a similar way. Or, I was talking to Super Epic Ampharos, who was one of the best players in the world. She said that, like, the game is supposed to be about having fun. And I think that when you are playing competitively and you find some Pokemon with a random niche, like Camerupt, you kind of like form a fondness for Camerupt and what it can accomplish, and you remember a specific interaction where it helped you. And the traits it has in competitive are different to what it would be in casual, and that becomes its character traits and its little story.
Yeah, I think that's, for one, I think that's totally fair, that the magic of the children's game narrative has been lost on you over time. I'd say that's a fair assessment, but you've properly recaptured the magic, and certainly for other people as well. I think that's what's so special about it, and there's always some magic to be made about it, and that's what I can always appreciate. I guess it starts to lose me a little bit when it does become like sort of just business. I want to know these characters, their stories and their niches and their arcs, so to speak.
Yeah, competitive Pokemon has a reputation of being kind of cold and calculating and boring, but it doesn't have to be. It could be fun too. Even though I do like that side of just literally playing like a chess match where I'm using the most optimal team, and so is my opponent, and we're just slowly chipping away at each other, and there's a lot of complexity going on. Like, that's wonderful as well. But it's also wonderful to use Sub-Punch Muck and randomly punch a Tyranitar and then explode on the incoming Claydol or something. That's fun too.
That's just a regular Monday for Muck.
Exactly. So, Droomish, what is the origin of your username Droomish? It sounds like Shroomish, and that's your profile picture is a Shroomish. But where did the D come in?
Well, yeah, I just like Shroomish, for one. I feel like this is sort of anticlimactic, but my name's just Drew, and I thought it was like, that works. Shroomish, Drew, let's get together, the two of us. I briefly considered Droom before thinking that's a mouthful. That's also kind of dumb, but so Droomish it was, and yeah, that's.
Well, there you go. There doesn't have to be a deep backstory. Sometimes simple is good too. No worries. It's a great channel name. It's catchy. It's simple. Easy to read out loud. So there you go.
It does always, like, I guess it sort of throws me for a loop when people, I guess, like, being in my own head, I always think it's so obvious, and then they're like, Mr. Droomish, how are you doing today? I'm like, Mr. Droomish was my father. Like, you can call me Drew, folks. It's okay. That's something I think relatively often.
Do you think it's weird to be referred to as Droomish in a formal manner?
That's become not really, but yeah, it has. There's no problem with it. I guess it's weird to. I guess it's weird. It's sort of weird to hear them both when they're so similar. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Jim Cool could be a masterful facade for all I know, but maybe you can relate in a way to that.
I'm pondering whether I should reveal this. I suppose I will. My name is not actually Jim. I won't say what my name is, but it's not Jim. So
okay.
No, I don't really have that. I like my online persona is separate from my real one. I would be a bit weird if people were referring to me by my real name in the PokeTube sphere, which I view as like a separate thing.
That's sacred ground. No further questions. I totally understand.
And sorry to break the facade, folks. I am not. Well, in a way, I am Jim. I have become Jim.
Yeah, that's the magic. That's the this is just like any of the other days of the Pokemon week. He's an entertainer, and it's you believe it's real.
So, like I said in the intro, your channel started to get a lot more attention about a year ago, specifically on your Pokemon videos. But you seem to have made a variety of videos before that about a number of things like Fire Emblem, Fortnite, Sonic Heroes. I'm seeing here Sonic Heroes full playthrough. I mean, this is a true gamer we're looking at.
I do really. Pokemon's my favorite one. I think. Yeah, that's. I guess that there's some competition there. Pokemon is certainly my favorite, but the concepts of game design and like whole genre, I guess, schools and study is something that's always on my mind, and I guess the mechanics are that maybe that's my as you were saying earlier, like the really in the weeds, like cold business stuff. I love analyzing video game mechanics, and I think there's usually something for me to see. There's something I can at least ponder in every game, and I think I was just exploring at a certain point. But I guess sort of a business choice as well is like, if I'm gonna keep doing this, I should probably just pick the one that I really like, so that I can get like creative. I don't know if satisfaction is exactly the right word, but like build upon my own ideas. Like I was kind of thinking, like if I just skip all over the place and do variety all the time, like because I would like to, and something that I'm like quite happy with and proud of now is like getting to build those arcs and storytelling and like doing gags across different videos. And I don't think in hindsight, I don't know, my whole shtick would have worked as well if I had like kept switching sandboxes. I do have a lot of thoughts about like games at large, but using Pokemon as a kind of a magnifying lens just for that, just those on their own, maybe like as an example, because I can usually weasel it in where I'm like, this is the battle tower, let's start talking about roguelikes, for instance, as like a brief aside. I guess that's not exactly a perfect example, but that's the kind of idea I'm usually working with. I think that's like what ended up working the best for me with what I wanted. But as Sonic Heroes as a good mention, I do love Sonic. Sonic is my other great love. I think I see so much depth. I see all the depth that I'm looking for in games and Pokemon, and I think it's been a really, really good fit for those sort of, they're not really clashing at all, but just looking for some focus in that lens.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that Pokemon is your favorite franchise because it's a great one to focus on. There's so much to talk about. It's popular. It's the #1 franchise on the planet. So it's a great like business choice to make Pokemon videos, but you gotta like it too. You can't just, do it purely for that.
I think that's kind of my whole shtick also, is like, 'cause I like it, and I think it would be like, I don't know, kind of sad if I didn't like it and this was like, I don't know, some angle or something. But I really want people to, I think especially, I don't know, people who maybe are like feeling out of touch with this game or any other game, like to, I don't know, find love for that again. And that's usually what I'm shooting for, and somewhere that I've been myself as well with like I don't know, and it's really exactly like you were saying. That's why I like it so much. See, like even from like the least serious to the most serious, like the game never changed from when it came out to now. Like I've certainly gotten older and changed. So like maybe I need to, like, is there some way I can look at this or make it fun or add some additional element to it that I can like reinvent my own magic or something, or find fun somewhere where I wasn't expecting, and just turning over those rocks all the time, I think, has been really fulfilling. And I think Pokemon's a really good place for that too, just because it is like the rep as the kids game, so to speak. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel complicatedly about that. I hope that people find joy with whatever they want to find joy with.
That's a good outlook, focusing on the positive. There's a lot of cynicism about like the new Pokemon games, the general game industry today. So you're just putting a spotlight on things that you enjoy in games, things that you love, that spark passion and magic. That's nice. There is a reason this franchise took off. It is quite creative. Like Pokemon Emerald, there's a lot going on. It's a good game.
what's the word? I never want to. I never want to tell someone that they're wrong about cynicism. That's, I think, a nasty habit that I try to resist, but have fallen into.
Right.
If you don't like it, then you don't like it, and that's, I mean, that's just your relationship with it. But I don't want to say that it is just like, oh, let's look for the. I don't want people to just look for the positives if it's not making them happy. But I think there is something to, like, and at least evaluating your perspectives. And I think with the, like, the curve the curve you were describing with Pokemon, there certainly were packed full of fun stuff. I mean, they're really packed in the, like, the Game Boy Advance DS era. But I think at large, especially, I mean, with any art, but I think especially with video games, because they're interactive, like, how much fun you have is up to you. And I would like to fully enable that if possible. Like, if it's not fun, then it's not fun. But if we can, like, come up with something in an otherwise bad situation, then, like, that's what makes me, I guess, happiest as possible for me or anyone else. Because I've had that off and on. I want to say for me, and this is maybe shocking, but, like, I started with the Game Boy Advance games. I played Ruby first. I thought this was, and I'm like, what? Like, I was very little when I was playing this. My battle tower team was a single level 100 Tentacruel, because I didn't think anybody was as cool as Tentacruel. Nobody compared to them. And I play the games all the time. And then when I started to feel myself, I was like, do I not like this anymore? I'm not having fun. Was Gen 5, which is the one that I feel like everyone. That's the one that everybody loves. The deep, serious Pokemon games. And then I guess what is giving me the most, like, shock about it now is that the thing that got me back into it was X and Y, which I think I largely hear cited as, like, the beginning of the end for most people. But I think something about the portrayal of those games, and maybe the friends I had at the time, got me to sort of reevaluate things. And, like, I started, instead of doing level 100 Tentacruel business, I was, like, noticing myself, like, stopping just to look at a field of flowers, so I could be like, wow, this is awesome. This is a field of flowers, and they didn't have that in the previous Pokemon games because it wasn't 3D. Like, this is breathtaking, and I would just sit in that. So I want that for everyone. I know, and it's not going to be the same thing for everybody, and that's kind of a beauty of its own. But I, like, if I could impart everyone's version of that feeling, I'd be a very happy camper.
Yeah. The most memorable times I had with Pokemon as a child were just, like, a moment of this, like, fantasy world captivating me and immersing me, where it felt real or something, like childhood imagination and wonder.
Yeah.
I actually didn't really love the Pokemon games as a child, though, because you eventually hit a point where you have to, like, solve some puzzle to progress. As a young kid, I was really terrible with any kind of puzzles in games. Like, the Zelda games, I could never get past a certain point. I always got stuck. I was always about games that... I really liked Banjo-Kazooie because it's just immediate feedback. You can explore, but it's not like there's no puzzles. Well, sometimes there's puzzles, but you can also just ignore certain parts of the game and do the parts you want to do. So I liked that. But at Pokemon, there's a point where you're like, you have to progress by doing this. It's easy. It's for children. But I was just a dumb kid or something.
Yeah, I would frequently, I think, I handed off my Fire Red cartridge to my dad, I want to say 3 times on my main playthrough, because I was, like, at, like, screaming levels of angry, and I'm like 6. I'm like, I can't figure out where to go next, but I want to keep playing. I really want to keep playing, and I would get him to bail me out of that. It's very, very frustrating in those moments, for sure. I don't know what I would have done. I think I might have a completely different relationship if he hadn't been like, all right, just use the water type on Flannery. I remember that one specifically. I couldn't figure out how to beat the fire gym.
That's a good dad, figuring out how Pokemon works for the sake of it. That's pretty funny.
I also thought that I think Dragonair was like, I was like, this is a worthless Pokemon. It never does anything. I keep leveling it up and it never does any work. And my dad is like, okay, Drew, you had it at level 54. Like, if you just kept going a little bit farther, then and then he was able to just sweep the game. He's like, look what I can do now that it's Dragonite. And I was in awe. I was like, wow, this is the best game ever. Teach me everything. But if I hadn't had those, I think I probably would be like, I like that you said that about Banjo-Kazooie, because I think it'd be either that or Mario 64 for me, with that instant feedback of, like, there is some puzzling, but like when I make Mario jump into a wall and he says oof, I was like, okay, I know what's going wrong here, and it's definitely my own fault.
And you could just not do the star and do another one and still progress as well. That's what's good about it as well.
Yeah, I had several of those. I was trying to remember how many. Several. You only needed 70 to beat the game, which was also really good game design. But yeah, you're right. I don't know. I've not considered this in the way that you're saying is like there are just some really hard roadblocks sometimes that
For a
can
kid, anyway.
really. Yeah, well, yeah. If you don't know what's going on, you can just kind of get kicked out of the game, which that just
I suppose
that
there
makes
was
me
a
sad a
social
little bit.
aspect of it back then, where you would ask your friend, like, "How do I get to Viridian City or whatever?" I don't. There's no puzzle for that. I've just thought of a random city name.
And that was a lot of fun. Getting to, I don't know. I liked that, but at the same time, I remember the frustration as well, and I also remember being lied to by those kids plenty of times. I mean,
Oh yeah, they make stuff up.
everybody's got one about like I think my main one was Jirachi for sure, and I spent a lot of time on that non-existent puzzle because there were a bunch of liars on the playground, and I just kept looking for Jirachi with the space station myth, and that one never paid off. A lot of hours spent on nothing in the end, unfortunately. Thanks a lot, friends, but you know it's cool. We're all old now. It's no big deal.
I remember feeling kind of socially ostracized because I hadn't progressed enough in Pokemon compared to everyone else. Like, I was stuck on gym number 5 in Pokemon Ruby. I could not figure out how to get to the next part. And everyone else was already at the end game. And I was like, I don't have any valuable Pokemon to trade with you. I have nothing for you. I've been left behind.
That's so sad. I'm sure they'd be very proud of you with where you are now.
Oh, now Pokemon's lame for them. They're working in a company or something. Somehow I'm the one playing Pokemon still, ironically.
You really taught them. Oh, that's so interesting. I love that you didn't maybe in one way, but you didn't back down in the end. I love that you overcame those people saying that, oh, this is Gym uncool over here, still a Gym 5. Wow.
I feel like I am such an outlier in the world of Pokemon YouTube. Like, I have a very weird relationship with the game, where as a kid I was like, I don't get this. What is this? I'm going to go play Mario. And then I discovered Pokemon Online when my friend showed it to me. I was like, whoa, I can just get whatever Pokemon I want. And I became obsessed with that. That's the kind of game I do like, is where it's all strategy and decision making. That's what made me realize I liked that. Whereas Pokemon is more of an RPG where you're checking a bunch of stuff off the list. You're catching them all. You're getting all the symbols. I was never into that, like beating a game 100%. I just want to dive into the mechanics and, like, it's like a playground. I want to have fun. Like, let me go here in Banjo-Kazooie. What's over here?
I know you. I was fascinated by your conversation with Blissey as well, because I guess I want like sort of different things than you're saying, but yeah, it takes forever before you get to do that thing. I think even in as easy as they've made it, it's still an RPG first, and you've got to do all this stuff
back
before
then,
you can just.
Back then, Gen 5 was current gen. It was still impossible to get. Like, getting a hidden power on anything with the right type was just. That's never happening. Unless you were to reset a million times. Or, like, EV and IV training was extremely tedious. Yeah, battle sims were the only option.
Yeah. And I want to say, I mean, like, in some ways, I feel like I have like more time and less time now in a way. Like like now that I'm aware of that, like I feel even more strongly about like spending the time on the game valuably. And it's like it would be cool if I had my optimized Sub Punch Gen 3 Breloom. That would be really cool if I could do that. That's probably, I don't know, that's maybe an incalculable amount of time for me to actually like to follow through with and then have it in game. And then who's even going to play with me at that point? I always think it would be so cool to build a team. It would be so cool. I could get into it. I could have it on physical hardware, and then I start remembering all those difficulties and how I know I'm just preaching to the choir here. They should really have a simulator. I'm very glad that somebody got it online for everybody else.
Yeah, that's okay though. Nintendo is often out of touch with like what the competitive scene wants. We're used to it, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know, that's not good by any means. It's quite bad, in fact, and makes for a lot of problems. But I appreciate a lot the work that these communities do, and like Showdown existing and the Smogon forums, like this gigantic resource that people have just done out of the goodness of their hearts. Essentially, is like, oh, I have a modern library of Alexandria focusing around Gen 3 OU strategies available to me now because like the people had to do it instead of the game, and I think that's really, really cool.
It's true. People forget Smogon is like entirely volunteer work. It's hard to people forget how wonderful it is that we have Showdown and all these Smogon resources, and people who establish some kind of tier, whether you disagree or not about the rule sets. Like, it's good to just have one tier to center on, one rule set. Good. Who else is going to establish it? You might disagree that maybe Sleep shouldn't have got banned in Gen 9, but whatever. At least we have Gen 9 to play. I think that's what's more important.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still I don't play very often. I get on Ranbats or like with my morning coffee. That's pretty fun, but like that change I'm like still processing, I guess, or like I guess like pondering it, I suppose. But it's exactly like you said. Like I'm just it's cool, at least, especially. I mean, I guess with they have like a new gen kind of messes, or it doesn't mess it up. It's just different. But it's cool to see like a sort of a similar to, I don't know what to call this. I'm just calling it like similar to Melee, but like such a community driven meta that develops, and like it is so developed after a certain point. And like one that I have like no like basis in. I'm never going to use this information practically. Some of my most fascinating videos, and you're definitely in this pool of like this guy is getting banned from Gen 4 12 years later, and here's why. It's like that's the community at work. That is the power of the community happening right there. That is so cool. Like I'm gonna love the story, I think, either way, but it's like I gotta give some appreciation and respect to this being like this I don't know any of them, so maybe this point is falling. I want to say you had one about Reuniclus recently. I saw is like,
yeah, in
this
Gen
is
5, which didn't end up getting
like,
banned. There was a vote recently. Results came out. It didn't get banned.
oh, Reuniclus fans are
But a lot of
in good
people
hands, I guess.
wanted to be redone. They think that was an injustice.
How long is it now? Is like that's like 10 years in the making of that like competitive evolution. There's something so special about that. That
It
is
was
like
2012, I think. So like 12 years ago, came out.
Yeah. Oh,
Reuniclus was
yeah.
in the base game.
That's so like I guess it's also sort of charming that like people are like you're saying people said it was an injustice. That's also fascinating to me. It's like, I love that you feel so strongly about a game that still has a scene, even though it's that old, and it's not the newest game. At the same time,
Cool.
that is
the fact that is happening is cool. You're right.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but like that like not even just idea, but like the web has stood the test of time. I'm in awe of it whenever I see one of those. It's usually like I guess maybe like a more proactive one is the whenever like new tech comes out for an old gen, because then like people are grinding away at the old format, and it's kind of the same thing, I guess. Instead of banning, we're figuring new stuff out, which is it's really, really cool.
That's why I like Gen 3 so much. You see a lot of that insane innovations of sometimes something small that ends up having a large impact because things are so perfected. Recently, Jinx has been on the rise. I might make a video about that. Jinx is a great aggro enabler. And the reason it's good is like for very specific reasons. Like you lead against Tyranitar and you ice beam it and die on purpose so that you can guarantee getting Dugtrio in, and then it's just low enough that you can eliminate it. And then you can clear the sand afterwards, which enables like Suicune. It's like you're luring in a particular thing for this interaction that enables you to clear the weather for your other guy. Like, that's epic, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. Do you think that do you know are you into Melee at all? Do you do that?
Yeah. I played it for a while.
Do you
I
think
was
that these
very bad at it, but yeah.
Oh, that me too. Fun as a spectator for sure, but do you think that these older gens are like? Do you think the 20XX thing is happening in these older gens, or like it's like a permanently reactive format? Like in the example you're just describing, do you think that was like a result of community reactivity or exploration? Like that was inevitable to be found?
Yeah, 26 is the idea that like the game will get so optimized that it's just Fox against Fox and they're both playing perfectly or something, which is like this dystopian view where the game will get so perfected that there's no more variety. I think Gen 3 is like this permanent circle where sometimes people will be like, oh, I solved it. We got, Metagross, Claydol, Salamence teams, and they're all the rage. But then if everyone's using that, there's a counter to it. That rises up, there's a counter to that. It's just a permanent circle. And you will always be rewarded for like cooking something up and being on top of it and coming up with some creative solution or problem. So I don't think that Gen 3 OU will ever be solved because there's always a way to beat whatever's popular, whatever is optimal in quotes. And that's what's wonderful about it. And there's like built-in counterplay to, there's like PokeRogue 2 is the hard counter to Dugtrio that you can build around. If Dugtrio is ever too much of a problem, it's dominating. PokeRogue 2 is in the back pocket to step up for his time and to handle that. Or like recently, there's a lot of stuff we're seeing. Like Jinx has been used multiple times in my invitational tournament. I feel like maybe 6 months ago, I would be seeing people say like Jinx sucks, it's inconsistent, it's cheesy, it's not worth using in tournaments, it's too risky. And then I've seen like ABR, who is the best player probably, or he's one of the elite players of the event, bring Jinx and like destroy with it. So, and then Super Epic Ampharos is constantly just cooking up complete nonsense that somehow works. Recently used Roselia and like this interesting agility pass team with Blaziken and Marowak. With Blaziken, I would never seen on a team like that. That's a first. So there's always something. Whether it's a unique idea, a unique combination of 6 Pokemon that have a new way to win, or it's a response to what people believe is really good right now, or whatever it may be. There's always going to be new strategies, in my opinion, coming to the surface. It will never be too solved.
Oh, it's just so cool. Especially especially in the older gens, like part of the reason why it goes over my head a little bit is just the like is that reactivity that you're talking about? I don't know, not like a
Sometimes it
negative.
is, or sometimes it's a new idea that is just strong, or sometimes it's both. Like, you can't be counter-teaming something too hard, because then if you play against a different matchup, you just dud and you lose. But something like the rise of Aggro Celebi, which is just a Celebi set with Leech Seed and 3 attacks on it, that's just very aggressive, which is kind of a unique take on Celebi, who's sometimes more passive, or sometimes more of a setup sweeper with Calm Mind. But that take on Celebi was a response to the rise of Claydol as this defensive monster that just sits there, dodges everything because it's immune to spikes and rapid spins. And like, it's difficult to make progress, but Celebi has the super effective damage against Claydol. It can come in up against both Psychic and ground moves because it resists both of them. And then it can Leech Seed, and then it has these 3 coverage options that threaten a majority of the meta. So it can basically punish the high usage of Claydol by turning Claydol into a momentum generator for them. Where when you bring Celebi in on a Claydol, it's like a huge advantage for you. There's so many things you could now do to get your foot back in the door. So that's kind of a meta response, but it's also like that Celebi set on its own can still function quite well, even if you're not against a Claydol, because it's just the idea is solid on its own. It's a bit of a balancing act between like finding something that works in general that also sort of punishes the meta. You can't be too all in one direction.
I like that. It's the only way I really know how to play. I guess when I do play the the outside of the tools themselves, like you're saying with the Claydol, like you can like fight against like meta expectations, and that's like when a meta game like evolves in that way, where like the neutral gets dismantled by like it's like, well, like I know that you assume that I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna do the next thing. Like I'm gonna make the stack one choice bigger, and then the entire. I guess is this the neutral of Pokemon? Like the neutral like gets unraveled when you start like clashing expectations in that way.
Neutral in like the fighting game sense, where
both
players are trying to find the opportunity to get the hit in. I suppose there's a bit of that. Yeah, there's like, I don't know if it's exactly the same, because it's not a fighting game, obviously. I think in Gen 3, you could make a comparison with like both players trying to establish spikes or get their big moment to trap a key target that enables their plan or something like that, where they're going for this one turn. And then early game, you want to just chip away at the enemy slowly, like little jabs that make small progress and then eventually give you an opening, which is kind of like landing a hit into a combo in a fighting game, I suppose.
I guess I know it's kind of a stretch example.
There are similarities.
I love I feel quite terrible as a team builder, but I love the mind games, all of the anything where it's like I always like feel like that is happening, like if I'm trying to put down my hazards and they are, as well as like we're just getting in each other's heads right now, like we're in a separate battlefield where we're trying to outthink each other, and that aspect of it I really really like. And maybe they're the same thing in a way, but I knew that you knew I was gonna do that kind of thing. Like that's what gets me on the edge of my seat about watching a Pokemon match, when people can, like, the battle is being fought around expectations of what is good and those assumptions, and then sometimes those assumptions being someone's downfall, I think is so cool to watch unfold. And then like ultimately, like, that's just a drop in the bucket, but I think like ultimately shapes up to meta shifts that are like totally human. And I think that's probably the case across like all competitive games, but it's so cool to watch in like a game with Pokemon that has so many tools available, so you can like tap into so many different things.
I agree. That's what I fell in love with. Is it's a very unique competitive game. Both turns are taken simultaneously instead of like a card game where it's my turn then your turn. So there's like, you can predict people, and there's psychology going on. And sometimes when there's like a conventional wisdom established where Skarmory is supposed to make a spike turn 1 against Tyranitar. So because Skarmory is supposed to make a spike against Tyranitar turn 1, like, you can punish that because that's what they're supposed to do. And then it goes deeper, and then they know that you know. It's like Super Epigamphorus said in our chat. She had a Swampert against a Tyranitar, and Swampert counters Tyranitar. Tyranitar is supposed to exit. But then H-Clat, her opponent, rock slided against the Swampert because he knew that Swampert was going to double switch out to Zapdos to try to catch a Skarmory coming in, because she thought the Tyranitar was going to exit to Skarmory, which is the common line. So, like, it reaches a level of mind games.
Yeah, that was like, he knew that she knew that he knew that she knew that something was supposed to happen. Assuming I counted that right. That's awesome. That's just so cool.
It is. It's epic. Not every game goes down like that. Sometimes it's just make spikes, slowly make progress, roar repeatedly. But sometimes you're in a corner, you go for something crazy, you bring it all back.
And then
it might look flashy, but often there's like a deep risk-reward assessment going on with every move at the highest level of Pokemon, where doing something like that is an understanding of your opponent, or it's an understanding of what people like to do right now, or a prediction about what they have in the back.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really like, I don't know, like a judgment that this maybe is just something I'm imagining, but like with the like, I mean, it can look to me, and it's definitely looked like it to me, where it's like I have no idea what's going on in my head. They're just clicking buttons, but like that is always like in the background, is like something I try to reassure myself of, like whenever I'm watching, or at least, I don't know, sometimes I am just clicking buttons, I will confess, but I'm just being silly, I suppose. But like I don't know, I'm imagining that thought you're describing is. It can, like, I don't know, I guess it feels hard sometimes because it's not like getting to see those moments in like Street Fighter or something, when someone is doing like unreal tech skill that is like, I guess, like essentially like hand-eye coordination in a way. But like you watch these matches and there's like 1,000 calculations put into a single turn, and I think the as like an entertainer sport, it's, I guess maybe that makes it like a little harder to dive into, but I feel like it makes it so much richer because there are so many. I can at least appreciate how many tools there are, if I don't know what I don't know exactly what they all do, or what like all of the things I should be doing in this situation, but I know there's a ton of them, and that makes for really high complexity of decision making. And so I have so much respect for that when I slow down and I'm like, oh, this is really serious and really cool, and that's awesome.
I've always had a lot of faith in competitive Pokemon as a spectator esport, because I think even if you don't know what the hell's going on, if you have like a base understanding of Pokemon mechanics, it's just cool when you see someone like Shadow Ball an incoming Gengar and get the predict right. Whether you understand what the hell was going through their head or not, it's like they just owned them. They just predicted them.
Yeah,
it's like an anime battle.
That is true. You're owned. Yeah, that's all there is to it.
You could view it in that surface level way, and it's just fun. Like Blue's energy clicking Shadow Ball with slacking in the face of a Skarmory, and a Gengar comes in. That's epic. There might have been more to it, but sometimes actually some players are just very instinct based, where they are just clicking buttons. happens. But there's like this subconscious, like they just have this great instinct that they've trained, great muscle memory for the game. They've played enough that they've built like a neural net of whatever it does and all the common lines. So they just in their moment will think, I'm focus punching here without thinking about it too much. But really there's a lot of weight behind that focus punch because they've been in that position before. Maybe that, and sometimes even in a fighting game or something, understanding your opponent is instinct based and you're put on the clock. You've got to make snap decisions. People play differently.
Which is that is something else that I love to, because like in fighting games, like I feel like if like somebody points it out to you, like habits are relatively I feel like it's like a sort of deeper thing, but they're relatively easy to start observing if you're like, I don't know, you tell someone is like, this guy likes dashing or he likes jumping a lot, and if you look for it, you'll notice that. But seeing that in Pokemon, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to describe here, but like the mechanical interactions that people like have habits for, I am more interested in seeing those because it's so interesting to see them unfold. Of like, oh, this guy really likes using trick. Like trick is his bread and butter, and like throwing that disruption in there, and I know that he's a disruptor is fascinating to see. Just I don't know. Maybe it isn't just I don't think it is just the number of options there are, but because it is like just you do things so I don't know, is uniformly the right word? Like I click a button and then a move happens. There is no intricacy to that in the way that like, I don't know, I'm jumping all over the place in Smash Bros or something, but there's still like patterns.
I get what you mean. In a fighting
and
game, it makes sense that there's habits because it's something that you're executing in real time. Pokemon is a strategy game, but there are still habits you can punish. Maybe this guy loves to switch Skarmory in the tar-on-tar mirror match. He loves to switch Skarmory in every time, which is a common choice. But if this guy does it every time, because it's a good choice, because the tar is usually not going to Fire Blast there, because the tar is in front of them. So, okay, he does that every time. I'm just going to Fire Blast on the incoming Skarmory, because screw this guy. He keeps doing this.
And I love it. I love it when that happens. And like when I'm watching someone, or like, I don't know, your stream or anyone else's, and I notice it, like when somebody makes that choice, it is so gratifying as both like as a viewer, but also like, I guess as like, oh, I just noticed something about this, but also like it is so entertaining to watch that battle of the minds going on.
It is fun. I love trying to piece together why people are doing things, because sometimes it's not clear immediately.
I know this is probably more frustrating, but I am very entertained when you are trying to figure out if someone is stream sniping you, because it doesn't seem like you're ever like, it always seems very analytical, and I'm like I can get into it with you of like doing that analysis. And
that is an interesting experience. Sometimes I'm playing against someone who's using some nonsense, and then they just make this godlike play that doesn't make any sense, and it raises an alarm bell. Where I'm like, did you really know I was specifically going to swap it here? Like you with the Muck, Metacham, Lunatone team, you knew that? You know the common line? You know the theory? I don't know. I think something's up.
That's not really like, it's like, I guess, a meta experience, but I am like, I'm ready to put on my detective's hat every time that like you raise the question, because oh, that is really interesting. What is going on here? What are the people thinking, and how are you going to respond? I am infinitely fascinated by it's not really here nor there with the actual Pokemon, but I feel like it's I get to watch a version of that is like so strangely contextualized, and you're doing like serious analytical work despite the issue, that it's really, really cool. And I get a kick out of it whenever I see someone take that in good faith. So I love that you do that. It's really, really cool.
I think people are sniping less now, which is good. I thought if I talk about it more, it would encourage it more. It seems like the opposite has actually happened, which is good, interestingly.
I assume there's also like, I don't know, maybe, hopefully, like some amount of honor amongst thieves, because you're not like you're not playing at 1,000 ever, are you?
No, there's no stakes, which is what actually annoys me about it, is that what are you doing this for? It's not like the points matter.
Yeah.
It's like we're just having fun. I'm playing with like Lydian because someone wanted me to, and you were just like sniping my every move. It's a bit lame. It's a bit pointless. But some people just trolls. They want to get a reaction out of you, or tell their friend, dude, I destroyed Jimothy. Look at this replay or something. There's that.
I did see that picture. I didn't understand it at all, but I did. There's that picture of you and Blunder going around on Twitter with the Omni Boost muck.
Yes. That was It was Muck Monday. What could be said? It was foolish of me to not put Muck Counterplay on Muck Monday.
And I feel like is so it is sort of like what you were just saying, because it's like I saw that picture, the Alolan Muck's Power of Alchemy has got super nutso stats going on, and I was like, oh, what happened here? What's going on? And like all like the comments and like stuff I could see about it, like, and maybe I just wasn't looking in the right place, but it was like it was like, oh, agency, like Jim Cool Wash. I was like, okay, thank you so much, guys. What's going, like, how did this picture happen? Can I learn? Can I learn instead of us being silly for just a moment? I eventually gave up. I think I learned the answer from your chat with Blissey, but I forgot. But it was great. It was great to have that satisfaction.
VGC, which I don't have much experience in. No Johns, of course, but Power of Alchemy copies your ally's ability if it dies. And Smeagol has Moody, which raises a random stat and lowers one random stat every turn. Raises by 2, lowers by 1. So Smeagol dies to give Muck Moody, and then Muck just protects and subs over and over until it has 1 million evasion, 1 million attack, and you can't kill it anymore. That's pretty much what happened. And I had no idea what was happening. I forgot that Muck got that ability. That's not an ability in singles, right? So I had no idea.
Yeah.
And they got me. It was Muck Monday.
That's really cool.
Wasn't cool for me.
I feel like, well, yeah. With the group of like everybody that I like mainly hang out with is just about as into Pokemon with me. But I mean, we all like it, but I feel like I noticed that happening to them a lot, or is even on my end where I'm like, oh, look at how cool this thing is, and their reaction is just like, yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. You're gonna have to describe that. And I was like, okay, I've slightly misstepped here, and then we can talk about it,
right?
Of course,
because I don't know what's going on either.
Yeah,
but I know it's cool.
But that I don't know. I do hate seeing that thing you're talking about. It's like I don't know, some VGC or competitive moment, and I'm like my first instinct is, oh, I'm so ready to dive into this. What are the people saying? What's all the comments? And then they're like, I don't know, maybe in good fun, but it's like all the comments say Muck Monday, and I'm like, okay,
that's all you need to know.
That's great, but it's not as educational as I was hoping for. That is all I need to know. You're right. I look forward to the next one.
I feel like we're talking a lot about competitive, despite you being more of a single-player YouTuber. It's interesting because
it is.
I'm always amazed at what is able to get views on YouTube. Like, you got a video about trash cans in Pokemon with almost 500,000 views, more views than I've ever had on a video before. It's just incredible that, like, you got a video about the trash cans in an older iteration of Pokemon, and there is a market for this. I guess it's one of those things that's so specific that it intrigues people.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a thing for sure. I feel like I see that asked relatively often. That was I guess as mundane as it was. I when I was working on it, I was very excited for it to come to light. I had no idea if it was going to get any traction at all. But I think I've come to sort of trust my gut on that, I guess, because the reason that I started working on it was because it was a video that I looked for, and I thought that would be pretty interesting, because there's some weird game design stuff going on with trash cans and Pokemon. It'd be an interesting little lecture. And I looked for it, found maybe 1-2 Reddit posts about it. I don't know, maybe there was a video and I just couldn't find it. And I thought it's okay, well, if it's not out there, I should, because I can do that now. I make videos now. I want this video, and I like Pokemon, so I should make it. And I don't know if that's exactly I don't know, maybe that is sort of content creator of me in a way, but I try to on the fringe stuff. I try to make the stuff that I would want to see, I guess. I really and the other one that you mentioned earlier, that was about the Gen 1 rival. I was just playing through Fire Red, and I remembered it as a kid, where it's he says he's got a bunch of Pokemon at a certain point, and I was like, well, I don't think so. I think you're lying. And I grow up, and it's okay, somebody's obviously had to have made an awesome video about this, and I was very surprised not to find it. And it's usually I guess the lead I follow on those is just the obscurities that I think are so interesting, and then I'm disheartened to find that I guess nobody's I don't know, there's disheartened, but I'm also excited too. It's oh, awesome, I get to talk about this topic. But yeah, I try to follow up on those. I guess maybe I do have a good sense of what the people want, so to speak. But it's usually just me myself being ultra interested in those obscurities, and if I can make it into a game design thing, I will try to, because that's like where I think like it all comes together, and like the what do these trash cans say about game design? And I never thought we'd be here, but I promise this is interesting.
I think that is the best approach to take as a YouTuber, is following the thread of your own curiosity. And a lot of new YouTubers will just like mimic others and try to break into an oversaturated market with the same thing. Like, I am doing a Nuzlocke challenge, folks, when there's already dominant forces in the PokeTube world doing that. If no one has done a video about this specific topic and you're interested in it, then go for it, folks. That's the way. Whether there's a market for it or not, I think, like, if you are genuinely passionate about it, it will result in a good video that's like well researched, well structured, if you know how to make videos, if you've got that knowledge and that skill set anyway.
Yeah, that took me a while also. I mean, I feel like sort of evidence, I guess, in my backlog as well, is that like had to figure out how to do that whole thing. And so for a while it was just gameplay, because it's like I don't know how to do editing. That's maybe dumb and not needed, but I was wrong, and now I know how to do that. And but it did take time. It was a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah, when did you learn how to edit? I've known how to edit since I was a kid. I learned how to make YouTube poop as like a 10-year-old.
That is awesome. That is so cool. I'm so glad that you're making YouTube poops. That makes me so
happy.
happy.
They're all lost to time now, unfortunately. but that was my origin story.
The effort was there. They did exist. Those waves, they were made. Even if I will never see them. I want to say that it was relatively recently that I got, in the last, I guess, two years now, maybe a little bit before that, but very, very recently in the grand scheme of things. Trying to, usually what will like compel me, I guess, is just be making the rounds of watching stuff, and I'll see something and it's like man, that is the coolest effect I ever saw. Could I figure out how to do that myself, preferably without paying somebody else, and then spending the night on that if it requires it. But that's usually the process, and I guess you do that enough times, it builds into an actual skill instead of just I don't know, knowing how to mask something. But that was I don't know if I had like a I'm gonna be a YouTuber moment or anything like that. It's just like I think I can't I always wanted to draw when I was little, and I cannot do that, and it never happened for me. I was like, wait a minute, I can sort of draw in editing software in a weird way, and this I can figure this out. So it clicked.
It's like your passion finds you, kind of thing. You got an idea in your head as a kid. As a kid, I wanted to be a game developer. I figured out that was not fun. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
but you can express creativity and
I agree.
Design things in a different way, like I did with videos, I guess.
Yeah, and I think you're still. I think there's a lot to be said about that. For like, I mean, I don't know if you would think this, but like, and I guess it's weird because Gen 3 came out so long ago, but like, you are certainly a part of the game in the way that you create, like, and you have affected like the zeitgeist of the game through your teachings, and like, even though it's I guess like after the fact and like a second degree of influence, like you're like in I guess in my view of things, like there was some game designing maybe going on there, and I think those people are very necessary.
I suppose in a roundabout way, you might be right. And I mean, building a team in competitive Pokemon is it's a creative exercise. It's like I am putting pieces together, designing something new.
I think you're I think anybody who's doing it this way is like I guess if you can kind of master the interest, so to speak, like keeping attention on one of your favorite things is really gratifying, no matter what it is. And that's like, I think like in any competitive community, it's always I don't know, I wish those people would get more and more recognition, I suppose, because it's like maybe not as flashy as like, like the big players in any scene, but the educators and the
oh yeah
that's what I mean, is like doing the education and just like keeping a lens on the scene is so important, and I really look up to it.
Well, yeah, the reason I'm into Gen 3 in the way I am is because there was resources and stuff, people I could learn from that were willing to They weren't even getting that much attention from what they were doing, but they just wanted to teach people out of passion for the game. Like Vapakuno has so many resources he's written up on Smogon, and he's got his own YouTube channel where he talks about team building, these interesting teams he's built. And that sparked a bit of a passion for me to do something similar. BKC, with his videos about like deep dives into the top tier Pokemon in Gen 3 and why they're so good, is really fascinating back then. And Callus narrates hosting the tournaments and commentating his own tournaments, which makes Gen 3 feel more high stakes than other generations when there's this event I can watch where there's money on the line and people have to innovate. Like that makes it really so much more compelling. That's what I've tried to, because he retired. He didn't want to host tournaments anymore after like 7 years of doing it. Fair enough. That's why I wanted to host tournaments myself with help from the community, of course, like Gold Mason and Simeon and Zach and Rezo and everyone who helps out.
It's just really cool to see. I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made that we are playing different games, but like it's sort of, but like it's all Pokemon, and I want people to like be into this thing, and I want it to like I want the scene to be thriving and people to be having fun with this thing that I know is awesome. Well, I guess I know that I think it's awesome, but like I'm
it's epic objectively.
Yeah. It's you're absolutely right. But all the more people we can get into it, no matter what they're doing, I think is like, I don't know, the dream, I suppose, with it. Just
and it's fun. It's accessible. You could just play on Pokemon Showdown for free on a browser. There's no entry barrier, really. You just got to learn some stuff, which it's true of any game, right?
I feel like is especially with I know like the Emerald Rogue mod has been a big one recently, which I think is like a huge accessibility step for like, for one, just like playing, like having the experience, like having the streamlined experience of playing the game, but also like here's like a kind of a grab and go Nuzlocke. Like you don't have to do any of the, there's none of the confines of the normal games. Here's a made to order Nuzlocke, which I feel like it's happening. I feel like I see it happening everywhere, which is so cool because like the community has like the idea of the game so firmly in its hands and is like making it as easy as possible whenever they can. But even with like the constant battle with Nintendo and stuff.
Emerald Rogue was pretty cool. Probably my favorite ROM hack or like fan game was Emerald Rogue, I would say. Even though it has its issues, there's like a bit of clunkiness to it. But I mean, I'm a fan of roguelikes. Logical crossover. Something I've always wanted to exist is a Pokemon-inspired roguelike that ticks the same boxes as like other deck-building roguelikes that I like Slay the Spire and recently Balatro.
I love Balatro. I love it so much.
Oh, it's great.
I've lost so many hours to it at this point.
Yeah, I got over 100 hours on Balatro, regrettably. That's a generational game. It's one for the ages. I love it. And the designer of Balatro is a big inspiration to me. I watched an interview with him. Apparently he just like likes to develop games in his spare time, and he didn't even want to release Balatro. It was just like a little thing he made for fun, and he just released it. Like, what the hell? Like, he made this absolute classic masterpiece that was just supposed to be for you alone. Like, what the hell? What a guy.
Maybe you would know more about this, but I was told that in his like design process for Balatro, he made a point of avoiding other roguelikes, and
yeah.
As a result, Balatro is so the same but also so different, and
that's really interesting, isn't it? Like a lot of people compare it to Slay the Spire, but he didn't play Slay the Spire. He ignored other roguelikes so he wouldn't get influenced by them and let the design sort of evolve on its own. He arrived at a lot of the same concepts independently of like progression, and I think the one thing he was inspired by was this game called Luck Be a Landlord, which was a similar game. It's like a slot machine roguelike where you can put pieces into the slot machine and you have to get a certain amount of money to progress to the next stage, like in Balatro.
Okay. Slot machine roguelike.
He was like, what if that, but poker? And then how would that work? Like, that was the jumping off point.
Oh,
it's such a unique game.
I love that. I guess that had like crossed my mind before, but like having like playing Balatro, like having it in my hands, and then hearing that, it was like, oh, he avoided other roguelikes because like to make this is like, I don't know, I felt like it like sort of like recalibrated my views about, I guess not even just game design, about like creative media, I suppose, because I feel like I've like started within reason of like trying to avoid really anything, not just YouTube stuff, but it's like I'm going to try to make something and I'm going to avoid looking at the, I guess, like genre definers, I suppose, and let's just see what happens. Let's make some art here, and maybe something beautiful will happen, like this miracle game that I was blessed with in Balatro.
That's true. It's a good creative advice to let your own ideas evolve on their own, not be too influenced by others. Maybe don't take it to the extreme of never watching anything, but have faith in your own ideas for sure. But like let them become their own thing, because that's how you stand out. That's how you make something unique and great. That's what Pokemon was initially, right? Like completely different from every other RPG at the time, with completely new concepts like trading, and instead of a RPG fantasy world, it's like a analog to the real world, similar to Mother.
Yeah, I think this is like really, well, maybe not guiding, because I didn't start playing the games knowing this, but like something I always like try to maybe remember now is like whenever I'm getting I don't know, maybe like I'm feeling like it's like, all right, I need to take a moment here. I'm getting a little too in the weeds with my frustrations with Pokemon, and I try to remember, and maybe this isn't even, maybe I think this is true, but it might maybe this is just like a playground rumor, but that like that they didn't originally have battling in the game, and that there was completely different goalposts, and battling was added relatively late to be more appealing to young boys, and that idea that has always given me so much pause about like the idea that they had for their game, and is like this really, like, I mean, it's certainly, I think, more playable and entertaining because of the battling, but like exactly what you were just describing, like an RPG with no battles, that would be unreal. Is that you have to be pretty in your own little world to come up with something like that, and is like to have such a shifted focus, and like I guess the sensibilities that have come of that, like comparing Pokemon to other RPGs is so interesting to me, and
It's
I
very
don't know.
different.
That's like, yeah, I wanted, like, I can like embody that philosophy. Well, it's not really a philosophy, is it? But just like I don't know, appreciation of like the point, I suppose. Like making what I love and getting other people to make what they love. Hopefully, is the goal. I guess it's a very broad way of putting it. But instead of it's an RPG, it has to have all the Dragon Quest stuff in it, and they didn't do that at all. And now we have this fascinating series that has stood the test of time.
Yeah, every work of art should evolve on its own. Maybe it takes from inspiration, but eventually becomes its own entity, for sure. We've got some questions from the viewers. From
Oh, please.
Latentia.com, probably mispronounced that, forgive me. Since a lot of Droomish's content involves retrospection of past features and side content in Pokemon, I'd love to hear Jim's favorite unimportant part of a Pokemon game. What do you think is your favorite, maybe a forgotten mechanic or quirk of a Pokemon game?
Like, maybe in a way maybe this isn't answering the question exactly right, but something about Pokemon Ranger was always very captivating to me, and to this day very distraught that they haven't made any more Pokemon Rangers. I really liked everything about those games. I thought it was a very refreshing spin. I think I had played two games. I played Ruby and I played Fire Red. Have you played or seen the Ranger games?
Never had them, but is it like a DS game where you draw like a circle with a stylus around a Pokemon to catch it or something?
Yeah,
What's going on with
essentially.
You battle?
Yeah, in a way, you go up against wild Pokemon. I guess sometimes they do like a bad guy will be like, oh, I've corralled this Entei, and now I'm gonna send Entei is on a rampage now, and you have to calm him down, otherwise he's gonna either attack you or burn down the city or something. And it's I don't know, it's like, I guess, like thematically modeled around PvE rather than like we're fighting now, I suppose. But you definitely do, like, you do encounters all the time. But at the beginning of the very first game, and I played Ruby and I played Leaf Green, and at the very beginning of the first Ranger game, you draw the circles around them. One of the characters says that they're like, oh, I really liked I think they were like applying for a school or something. I don't remember it super well, but they said it was like, you told me in your interview for for Pokemon Ranger Academy, that you don't see Pokemon as tools, you see them as vehicles. And I thought that was really cool. And I also thought that was really cool because I think, I mean, like I was a kid at the time and I was like hell yeah, Tentacruel, beat up everybody, Blastoise, get these guys out of my way. And I don't know, it wasn't like, I don't know, I feel like this almost sounds silly now, but I was like, that really made me like pause for a second. I was like, whoa, this like I want to see what
success.
Yeah.
And
Tentacruel is a weapon for my violent tidings, and I was like, am I trying to remember like how I felt about it at the time?
Do you ever feel a disconnect with the like epic anime vibe that Pokemon has? Like Pikachu is my friend, and we're gonna make it all the way. But in essence, it's a world where animals are fighting for the amusement of humans in a ridiculous chess game that's like kind of immoral inherently.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's
like a big total disconnect.
And I feel like something I've noticed more recently is that I mean it, pretty much exactly as you're saying, like they're never the idea with Ranger is that like all of the trainers, which are now called Rangers, are essentially like zookeepers who are calming down Pokemon that are like angrier beyond their wits, and they're like,
that's interesting world building. Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that was like, it's like, oh, they're, and you can capture them, but you don't ever have them. You are kind to them essentially and calm them down, and then they are willing to aid you in calming down another animal. And there's like they'll like put bubbles on the screen so like that they get like the rampaging Primeape gets slowed down by bubbles, and then it's easier for you to calm him down. And I loved that. I thought that was really cool. And I see like a lot of, I guess, marketing now that reflects that of like of like just people who is like, oh, this guy works at an office and like his Squirtle takes the subway with him. It's like that's really cool. That's really that's really cool.
Pokemon Concierge Netflix show.
Yeah,
the Pokemon
that was
are like emotional support Pokemon or something.
I love seeing that, and I think it's like a way to use, like, I don't know, like they're more willing to like they make shorts like that and little shows and pictures. It's like, oh, it's a real world, and this like not everybody's a battler and everybody's out here. And then the contrast with what you're saying is like, oh, okay, I'm getting into like I think this is by and large most of them. It's like I'm gonna play the game and they're just fighting. Like I'm just fighting 90% of the time. Like we're just having our little animal fights for the strong majority of the gameplay. And I don't know, I think about like those scenes where it's like, oh, what if there was a game where you were like, what if it's like, I don't know how they make this a game, but emotional support Pokemon can I live that? Can that be like a visual novel or something? Can I have that interactive moment so I don't just have to like
they could absolutely make some sort of
and dream about it.
Focus game similar to, I don't know, Stardew Valley or the Chow Garden from Sonic Adventure or something. That's Pokemon. They definitely could. That would do very well, I imagine.
I think
they
so
should
too.
branch out into more genres, explore different ways they could use the franchise. They do sometimes, like Pokemon Snap, but I think that's a bizarre game. I have no appeal whatsoever for taking a photo of Lapras. Like I don't get it at all. It's a pretty well liked game, but I'm like, why would I do that? I don't know. Maybe it's fun.
Well, I'm not like I don't know the I guess I could give or take on the picture taking. I did really like that game, and my one of my friends who is like usually just completely bored by Pokemon, total snooze fest to them. They loved Pokemon Snap because it was just like, and then they were telling me, it was like, I just like watching them. I like it when Meganium like its flowers bloom and then it like eats an apple out of a tree, and I got to watch that. That was really cool, and I was like, yeah. That is really cool. I feel like I'm having a moment getting your different perspective on this right now. It's like I wasn't really thinking about that before this, and now it's like, yeah, it is nice to just watch them because they're like creatures of such complexity. It is nice to see them not fight for once.
It's just funny that the fighting exists and it's viewed as like this good thing by the show because they need to market it that way to sell the games. Like, Pikachu is my friend. We have a strong bond as I send him into an earthquake and he is in catastrophic pain and I have to heal him back to fruition to go and do it again. It's funny when people tell me in my comments, like, how could you use Scarmbliss Tyranitar? I want to play with my friend Granbull, who I have a strong bond with. If he's your friend, why are you sending him into combat against Breloom to be killed and punched and he's terrible? He's not meant for combat. He's a dog. Have fun with him. Go take a walk. Leave the battles to, like, Tyranitar Metagross Salamence, who are ginormous beasts. Like, that's my headcanon, is that Pokemon trainers are just egotistical freaks who are, like, horrendous people. Not like Ash Ketchum, who's like, I love my Pikachu. It's like, I am playing chess with these animals, and I want the best ones. I want Metagross, and I will make him explode for an advantage.
Do you think there should be like you're describing a class of combat-based Pokemon? These are the ones built for fighting. These are the...
It would make sense if, like, the elite of the Pokemon world engage in Pokemon battles as, like, this really, really messed up hobby. Like, that would make more sense to me world-building-wise than, like, a 10-year-old, like, I'm gonna do it. And, like, it's a complete disconnect between what he's doing, which is forcing an animal to fight for his amusement. That is, like, portrayed as this really great, happy moment. It's a bit bizarre.
I really like it when they, and maybe, I don't know, I guess depending on the game, maybe you like these more, but, like, I like it when there are, like, I guess more like playground styles of competition going on. Like, I played it very little, but there was a mobile game called Magikarp Jump, and you jump. It's a jumping competition. It's like the Olympics, but they're all Magikarp. It's like, oh, this makes a lot more sense because Magikarp jump, and we're not, like, beating the crap out of each other. This is like this is much more this is much more wholesome fun.
I think there's some lore where, like, they like battling, but that's problematic, man. That can't be true. Like, Roselia does not like getting fire blasted by a Charizard. Come on. Roselia loves it when you send her into her death. Come on. What are we talking about?
Oh my god. the those details are definitely little suspect.
But I guess that has to be how it is for the premise of the game to work, is that, like, yeah, Pikachu likes it. You know. Don't think about it too much. Bad. Don't think about it, folks.
Yeah, seriously. I felt really bad it's like, I was so excited to watch the Gen 5 anime, and Ash is going to the Unova region, and he's only bringing Pikachu with him, and Pikachu is like a beast at this point. Pikachu beats up everybody at this point, and as soon as they get to the Unova region, for some reason, and I think they were trying to, like, retcon Ash's power level, but Pikachu was, like, mortally wounded by Zekrom. Zekrom, like, this was not a battle, but Zekrom somehow reduced Pikachu's level from 100 to 5, and then a trainer who had just picked Snivy just beats the crap out of Ash, and Ash is in shambles, and so is Pikachu at this like come to God moment where they had it all, and then Zekrom has wounded Pikachu in an unthought way, and I saw that. I think I watched that episode. I didn't watch another episode after that. I felt deeply sorry for Pikachu. I was almost disturbed after that. I was like, this is more than any battle. Like, Pikachu slugs it out all the time, but Zekrom has changed something. Like, Zekrom has left Pikachu for dead, and I didn't know how to feel about the show after that. I was it's like a kid thing that I would have nightmares about. I was like, oh, what if I sure hope Zekrom doesn't blast my Pokemon in that way. But it is so weird that they, like, I don't know, the lengths that they will go to, like, explain those things of, like, well, it's about battles, so they love it. Awesome.
I mean, it's a great game concept, but when you think about it for 2 seconds about what's actually going on, you try to take the lore seriously, I feel like it falls apart, personally.
It's like, I don't know, that is my favorite thing of, like I think there's enough depth to the worlds at this point where it is really satisfying to me to look at that stuff. But the thing that always falls apart is, like, no, guys, I don't think they like it. I think we're probably all wrong about that.
Spoke with Glidus about, like, how Pokemon in the early gens has pretty cool world building, where there's, like, environmental stuff and little hints at, like, deeper things going on. Even Gen 1 explored a bit, like, the moral questions of, like, are Pokemon really dying? And what the hell's Team Rocket up to? There's, like, genetic modification going on, which is interesting. So it confuses me that the newer Pokemon games are so dialogue heavy and story heavy. Like, I feel like it's way better when you ignore the story and don't think about it too much, and maybe chuck in little subtle things that are like, oh, that's it. Like, it makes you think. Like, is Ditto really Mew? Like, that's interesting. but I don't want, to read 10 dialogue boxes from a guy with spiky hair about why he has a strong bond with his dog.
No, that's awesome.
I don't really care.
I was scared you're gonna say that one because it's like it was Scarlet and Violet were a tough sell for me, and then like that storyline like saved the game for me. I was like, wow, they can't actually.
I just made that up. Did that actually happen?
Well, I guess he doesn't have that spiky hair, but there is a guy.
There's a guy with spiky hair who has a strong bond with his dog because I made that up on the spot.
It's okay. That's awesome. It's pretty intricate. I would say it got to like soap opera levels of drama with this guy and his dog. His dog was mortally wounded by the box legendaries, and it was his dad's fault, and he has an absent father, and he's going on a quest with the main character to get back the magic mushrooms that will heal his mortally wounded dog. And
can't he just go to the Pokemon Center like everyone else?
Well, the dog is like, I don't. It's really serious. He's like blind and limping, and they do say he's like, I took him to Pokemon Center and it didn't work, and that's kind of the end of that. I would have liked, I don't know, maybe some further explanation.
Dude. Works on my machine.
Yeah. Yeah, Roselia took a fire blast, and Pokemon Centers, they're all fine now.
So if I send my Lillipup in against Zekrom, he will be permanently blinded. The Pokemon Center will not work.
But maybe even in respect to what you're talking about, the this guy, he doesn't like battling, and I think he also is like he has a grudge against the box legendary, and he don't quote me on him not liking battling, but he only battles with Pokemon that he finds on the side of the road, which I was like, that was like a subtlety that you're talking about. He doesn't the only Pokemon that he has is his dog, and then whenever he shows up and you need him to help you fight, he's like, oh, I just caught the bug and rat that are on yeah, we're in the desert, so I caught Cacnea and Trapinch just because they happen to be here, and I'm gonna let them go after this fight because I don't really care about them or anything. And
it's like for self-defense or something. He's just, all right, I'll pick up a Cacnea just in case I need it.
And I went back and forth on this. It was like to your point, it was like, yes, there's a lot of dialogue here, but I was the kind of the hole that they dug for themselves, I guess, with how are we gonna do this whole story with all these contradictions in it? So it's we're gonna need a lot of explaining. It's no, he can't go to the Pokemon Center. No, he hates battling because his dog is dying, and then at the end of the story, I was genuinely pretty satisfied. But it was a lot of reading.
I just remember playing Ultra Sun, and there's this storyline of one of the characters has the star Pokemon that turns into the Solgaleo later. I just didn't care, man. I just want to click a button. I want to switch into Como and click Clangorous Soul Blaze. Allow me.
That was. And I was much older, and it was kind of the going from Gen 1 to Sun and Moon, the whole 20 years later thing. I got my dad to play that game independently, and his final review at the end of the game was it was pretty fun. The girl with the hat talks a little too much though. Didn't like that. And that's all. Yeah, that was all he had to say about the game. And he beat the whole thing. He had a normal team. He was rocking Mudsdale, Magnezone, Incineroar at the end of the game, and he was just nope, Lily talks too much. Game was pretty fun though. I was okay, that's as pure of a review as it's gonna get.
There's a guy who keeps running up to you. He's your friend, and then he's like, "Hey man, I came out of nowhere to tell you a bunch of crap." And I don't remember if any of it had any significance to what I was doing, but that was annoying.
I think in those games they supplement exposition with tutorials, which and I would say is mostly the case in Sword and Shield as well. If you just want to click buttons, then I don't you're probably done playing them as they come out. But I was impressed with Scarlet and Violet because I kind of thought they bucked that trend of okay, the tutorials are in the tutorials like they should be, and then these characters, even though I don't really care about them, they have kind of a schoolyard soap opera going on, which that did appeal to me. I thought it was better usage of resources, at least, instead of having here's Hat Girl who tells you how to play the game, and she does it for a long time, and instead we've got Dog Guy, and he's when I'm willing to listen to him, he's
bond with his dog. He does.
Yeah. That's awesome that you got that.
I predicted them. I got them away. I've done it.
Maybe you know all the secrets that game has to. They
should make me a writer for Pokemon. I could cook up some stuff. I've known this Mr. Mime for 20 years.
can't wait to read that one. That would be good.
I looked someone in the eye when I was trying to get groceries. I was forced to battle with my Mr. Mime. I didn't want to. We were just getting groceries. And now he's mortally wounded.
In the Pokemon Center. It doesn't work.
And because he's soundproof, he won't hear me when I talk to him anymore.
Oh no.
This is so sad. Dunkathan Salt asks, question for Droomish. A while back in Jim's stream chat, I was making sandwiches and asked if anybody else wanted one. You did. Did you enjoy the sandwich? Would you like another? I didn't realize this was a joke question. Sorry. What kind of sandwiches do you like, I suppose?
It's okay.
Did you like the
I did
sandwich?
enjoy the sandwich. I remember that as well. It was just people being silly in your chat while you were working on serious business. I think they sent that, and I went and grabbed. I'm not very ambitious, but I went and grabbed I put ham and cheese on a bagel, and then I put some bean sprouts in it for an X factor. Really, bean sprouts have been that's the stuff for me lately. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. I love it's like there's such a fascinating dynamic that you're in your chat specifically is like stuff like that is happening all the time while you're like working on like making serious choices, and like there was a really good one that I think those people are like designing theme teams or like essentially role playing. I mean, a lot of the time I think it can be boiled down to role playing, but like I'm fascinated. It always happens, and you're working on meta stuff, and some people are working on it with you, and there's a small subsection of people that are like, no, we should call it Houndoom's Holiday, not Houndoom's Horror, because Houndoom is on vacation, and everyone knows this. It's like, oh yeah, you're right about that.
I've cultivated an interesting community, haven't I? It's a bit strange when people online that you don't know start to mimic your sense of humor. Because, like, in the past, it was just me who has that sense of humor. And now I'm a YouTuber, and I'm exposing this to everybody. And they're all little Jimothy's saying Houndoom's Holiday or whatever the hell. And I'm just seeing, like, a reflection of myself in my chat. It's a bit bizarre, but also kind of, cool, too.
I like to say something and it was an inside joke amongst a couple of friends of mine. I say, whenever I'm like really, really loving the immersion or some mechanic, I like saying that it surrounds me by beauty. And it was just it was like that meme of, I don't know what to call Robert Downey Jr., where he's he's holding the trophy. It's like the black and white picture of him. And I saw one that says he is surrounded by beauty. And that I was like, oh wow. And then I saw someone the other day, I saw it on a Reddit post, somebody like citing me, and they were like, wow, this surrounds me by beauty, as Droomish would say. I was like, wow, that made me take a step back for a moment, like seeing my words on someone else's Reddit post. It was definitely a strange feeling.
That is weird, isn't it? Like, me and my friends would just say to each other, this is insane. Like, before I was a YouTuber. I don't know why, it's just like a little phrase we say. Now, that's like my catchphrase, I guess. And everybody says it in my comments all the time in the chats. Like, this little quirk about my personality has become much larger.
And I love that as long as you love that.
It's funny. I'm leaning into it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like hilarious. But I wonder if other people are getting annoyed by it. I sometimes see people drop "this is insane" spam in other people's comments. I'm like, oh, I'm leaking. Is this bad? Like, what are they? They're gonna be confused.
There was like a brief period where I had seen it, but I didn't know of you yet, and I was like, what's going on? Why are these people sending me
insane?
Why are these people sending me these messages and like responding in these ways? And what is Muck Monday for? I don't think it was.
What is Muck Monday?
I don't think it was Muck Monday. It was one of those where I was like, why is everyone saying this? I was getting actually a little peeved because I couldn't figure out what was going on. It's like, did a new bit? Did a new bit just drop that I have no understanding of? I need to get to the bottom of this immediately.
That's not my intention to be annoying with that. I'm just saying stuff, and I can't control what people do. You know, I just said it was Muck Monday, whether it is or not. That's for the calendar to decide.
Now I'm seeing discourse about horses every which way, and at first I was really excited about the horse council stuff because I guess like a rare Droomish fact is like I love horses, and I was really into horse riding when I was in middle school and high school. And man, I wish I could go back to it, but it's unsurprisingly a very expensive activity to engage in. And I saw all the horse discussion happening. I got so excited, and then I saw a picture of Mag Cargo, and I like immediately
That's not
deflated. I was like,
a horse. What are you talking about?
that is not what I was hoping for, and it is a lot of fun. But I was so excited. I was like, did I find the horse crowd in Pokemon? This is awesome. Are we gonna like talk horse shows maybe, or like some
We'll talk horse.
or like saddle styles or something? And no, it's just Mag Cargo and all of his friends.
What do you know about horsepower? Like horsepower to pony power ratio. Why is horsepower a measurement? I just think horsepower is a funny concept. You know where this spawned from is when you type HP in the text-to-speech thing for stream donations, it says horsepower. Like it assumes you mean horsepower. The people would just,
awesome.
donate and be like, give 100 HP EVs to Wailord, and it would say 100 horsepower. So I was like, horsepower? How Wailord's got some horsepower on it? And then that evolved into like 1 subscriber equals 1 horsepower. Give me all your horsepower. And then why do I need horsepower? To give it to the horses. So then there's a horse council, I guess. That's the next logical step, right? And there's a move called high horsepower I discovered. And then Macago gets it. And then the rest is history, of course.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. Oh man, that is so fun. It is awesome that it revolves around Pokemon and such. I had no idea about that text-to-speech thing. That is awesome lore. That's so cool. And the other day, I was trying to do actual horse discussion, and people were like still getting in on it with me, and that made me very pleased. It's like, okay, we can all have it both ways. Everyone's having fun here, because I'm talking horse mechanics, you're talking high horsepower. Everybody's having a great time. I love Pokemon. I love this community.
You should make a horse related video. It's big right now. It's a big topic. I'm really pushing it.
Okay. Yeah.
There's big horse mania right now. No, I'm only kidding.
It's not bad. I want to. I just gotta find the spin. Like I really do love horses. I cannot stress that enough. But I don't know what the angle would be, because the
horses of Pokemon.
You get to ride goats. You never get to ride a horse. You get to ride goats and rhinos in the same game, and you never get to ride a horse.
That's
well,
nonsense.
I guess you do. You get to ride a horse in Sun and Moon. I was sleeping on some.
Mudsdale.
Yeah. You get to be on Mudsdale. I shouldn't count
horse,
out.
So yeah.
Yeah. There's untapped potential in going for a pony ride, I would say. I think you're absolutely right about the pony power deficit.
Make a rant video about how horses should be mountable in all Pokemon games. I think in like Wilds, that fan game, you can ride on Ponyta and other mountable looking animals. They let you do that, which is cool.
I think you can get on them in the Let's Go games. I think there's like a Rapidash you can get on. Maybe it sounds like I'm the one who needs to do some exploration rather than Pokemon. This is on my shoulders too. And maybe that can be I rode every horse in Pokemon, and this is what I discovered.
That'll be your first 10 million views, I guarantee it. A question from Block Leah Stuff. Droomish and Jim, what are your favorite throughout all generations? Between route music, town and city music, battle music, and maybe even dungeon music? That's an interesting question. What would you say is your favorite route music, Droomish, in the Pokemon franchise?
I'm gonna say I think it's technically a route, but it doesn't have route in the name. In Fire Red and Leaf Green, the Sevi Islands all play remixes of Johto route music, and I believe my favorite is the music that is the Sevi Islands, the Seven Island Savold Canyon theme. But I believe it is a GBA upscaled remix of Mount Mortar from Gold and Silver, and I've got a lot of really good memories from that area. And hearing that music play, it feels triumphant to me. I really like those remixes.
Cool. I don't think I've heard that. I'll take a look at that. I'll try and play it in the background right now so the fans can hear too. I think the best route song is Route 209 from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. That's an epic song. It's got phases to it.
Can you I really struggle with I know
the name of it because I use it in my videos all the time.
Oh, okay. I can't do street names. but like, could you visualize it for me? Can I paint me a picture so I can join you on Route 209?
I don't know what it looks like.
Oh,
I just heard the song, but
that's tragic.
It's the one they put in Smash Bros. Brawl. They like made a remix of it for Brawl. It's a great piece of music. Gen 4 in general has really good music, I think.
Okay, got the Google Maps view of Route 209, and I'd have to agree with you. It's quite good.
It's got all kinds of different instruments. Like there's the horns at the start. It's like triumphant. You go on an adventure, and then it goes into this piano thing, and then it goes into like some drums kick in, and it becomes like really upbeat and fun.
It sounds really
It's like a lot going on. It's less than 90 seconds, but it goes on a damn roller coaster ride of different sounds. It's a really great song.
And there's I want to say that there's they're called farmers, but they look like cowboys, and that's what the song sounds like them. It sounds adventurous. I'm glad that there's cowboys on this route.
What's going on in the environment.
Yeah,
that's always good.
That's thematic pairing. I love it.
The best town music has got to be Verdant Turf Town, right? In the whole series. That's my favorite song in the whole series, personally. What do you think?
I'm struggling to find it. I know it's not bad because I would like.
It's the one in my outro. If you're familiar with my outro.
I want to. Does it? This almost sounds delusional, but does it sound windy? Like, does the
I think
song
that's the
sound
intent. It's supposed to be. It's like a little. Is a Verdant Turf Town like a very small town with not much going on, and it's supposed to sound peaceful.
Okay.
And there's a flute instrument they use, which I don't think they use that often in the soundtrack. There's a lot of horns and trumpets in Gen 3, but this one uses this flute.
Really like that. Yeah, that's just more really good thematic pairing, and it's almost like weird that there's a town there in the game, like in terms of like everything like serving a purpose. Like it's almost transitional in a way, like in the scheme of the map, but it's really nice that it's there and that like this effect is being imparted.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with like the environmental storytelling. Like that town being there is interesting because it doesn't serve that much of a purpose, but it adds to the world building, and when you walk in there, it's a memorable moment. It's one of the most memorable moments of Gen 3. Just because the music kicks in and it's like this nice little peaceful town.
I think it's like you're saying, and it's like the Verdant Turf is such a perfect example of it. Of like, because like Pokemon has always nailed this for me. Of like, they have because it's like if we were reading a book about the journey through Pokemon, like you just go to the next town. And then because it's a game, like all games, there's all the spaces in the middle that you have to walk through. And I think you're absolutely right. Like you're saying, is like the they are architects of those like in between spaces of like between point A and point B, and there's like there's flowers blowing that you get to see, and there's like a fence for whatever reason, and there's some kid who is like really like sand or something, and you think he's a weirdo, and there's like pleasant music playing that really sets effect is being imparted. You get this like in between experience that they have like totally catered a certain way. I think they're like generally like masters at creating those like experiences in between checkpoints. So yeah, it's a really good one. I feel like you've talked me into agreeing with you.
Nice. There we go. I don't know about you. I don't really like listen to the Pokemon battle music ever recreationally. It's a bit too intense. I can't even recall my favorite battle song. And I have a bit of like, when you're watching a replay on Pokemon Show, I don't know if you know, but sometimes the music is ticked on and you accidentally press play and it's really loud and you just hear the blasting Pokemon battle music. It's kind of like when your alarm wakes you up. It's like, oh god, I didn't I associate the Pokemon battle music with that because that has happened so many times to me. So I kind of don't like this jump scare. So I don't know if I have an answer for battle music. It traumatized me.
Really unfortunate. It hasn't happened to me. I mean, I know what you're talking about. There's like they have like 3 songs, and I think I don't like those 3 songs because of what you're talking about. And
they should really check it off by default. I don't know why anyone wants blasting music when they're looking at a Pokemon Showdown replay. It's a bit ridiculous.
Let's see. I would say I feel like there's 2 sort of. I'm just being complicated here, but like there's like the fights, you're just like hanging out with your friends or something, and then there's like the boss music, like I don't know, but they're maybe the same thing, but like thematically very different in my head. They have like some like orchestral like hymns going on for like Ultra Necrozma or actually I think it probably beats all. There's this very unique song that plays when you fight the I don't know what they're called, Terrakion, Cobalion, and Virizion in Gen 5 that is like it's almost like an anxiety inducing song, and the song starts playing. There's this on-screen effect where you're like your screen like turns into glass and it cracks and all the shards like fly at you, and this like song that like has multiple tempos that is like it goes from like very fast paced to sounding like the record fell off of the turntable, and then it speeds back up again, and they're very pesky, I guess. Like in a playthrough, they're like I think their whole lore is those three Pokemon are like they're human haters. Maybe that's some of their damage control on. These are three Pokemon that actually they hate the system. They hate all the battling, but they're very difficult to deal with. And then like the music in the background is like this it sounds like I don't know, not exactly unnatural, but it is stressful music that is very very high paced. So I'm gonna give it to them on that one. That's mine.
That sounds like a good answer, so I'm gonna agree. That sounds thematically appropriate. It's got some emotion to it, perhaps even a bit of artistic merit. So there you go. I'll try and play that one in the background too. Good answers. Good answers. Pokemon franchise does have some good music. Even the games I don't like have good music, I must admit. Got a question from Seven Sirens. Explain shiny Sploink. What does that mean? Please explain.
Oh, that's awesome. Seven Sirens and I we go way back, and I'm so glad they wrote in. This is another one we actually. I mean, this is like this. I feel this is like similar to This Is Insane, but a while ago I was I'm very into I like making. I think I definitely get their criticisms, but I like making YouTube shorts. I think they're a good vehicle for like one quick fact or thought or something, and I can be a little like I can have like a creative sprint. And I was making a bunch of these I think last year, and I made one about shiny Pokemon, and then my friend Kay, who is also my editor, she makes this just completely unhinged about how shiny Pokemon are a ripoff and they're fake because Game Freak never gave her a shiny Sploink, and which I don't know if was an intended misspelling or not. And there was such like passion and rage in the comment that I pinned it to it, and then after a while, a lot of people had seen it and were like, I don't know, just like what the hell is going on here? What this is nonsense. And then she did it again on the next one because like I laughed so hard in front of her after seeing it, and it was I just kept putting it on. She kept putting it on, and I kept making it the pinned comment. But it eventually got like it seemed like I don't know, and certainly it was definitely just for us. Certainly it was annoying after a certain point, but like eventually I had to stop because people were getting to like borderline like threat territory with her, like telling her to stop making these comments, even though I was the goofball pinning them. So we don't really do that anymore, but it was fun while it lasted.
What's wrong with saying shiny Sploink? Is there a problem? That's a bit bizarre.
I think
people, I guess it get annoying maybe, but like I don't know, to be aggressive about it.
I know it was so like first of all, my video, by the way, you don't have to look at the comments. Also, they make it really easy on shorts to not look at the comments. And then like, why is this a problem? Like, isn't this what Pokemon is about? Just like being excited and dumb about dumb stuff. And I think some people, I still get like some comments, and it's like I worked with, well, I didn't work with, but Blissey showed me how to RNG like a Sploink, so I could like start featuring it like on my main story team as I like do gameplay. So we still have it in there, but it was like I don't know, it got to a point where she was uncomfortable with it, but we still like run it in. I guess in moderation, I suppose. You don't want to get the Sploink haters too riled up, I suppose. But it is one of my. I'm always delighted whenever she does it, or somebody asks for it. Like every so often, somebody will be like on a video about something completely different. Is like, well, how does shiny Sploink factor into this? I feel like you neglected them this video, and I'm touched in those moments.
Sploink is a funny Pokemon inherently.
That's what I just like. I was like, hey, you're a master. Like, I think you picked like, because she's just making stuff up. I was like, I think you picked the perfect Pokemon to like not only misspell but like angrily shout about. Like just imagining somebody angry about Sploink is like unbelievably funny to me. I like
There are some
imagining
funny
that
Pokemon out there,
character
yeah. That adds
is
to it.
like is like think like is I don't know, people like
Well, it's such a
like
large
you're,
franchise. There's someone out there who was furious about they didn't get shiny Spunk. There's someone out there. And I can tell you
you said
there's defenders of like Iron Jugulis who think Iron Jugulis is their favorite. They're in my comments. I don't think Iron Jugulis is that bad. I think it's cool that like Hydreigon's a robot now. It's like smart, actually. I got a shiny one. There's someone out there for everybody.
you have the you said that one made me laugh earlier. You said somebody in your comments was raging about Granbull, like
That was a
come on.
That was a one I made up. That wasn't a specific one. But yeah,
Oh, well.
You're right. The Granbull is like a funny because he's like an innocent dog. The idea that he's up against Metagross and just gets meteor bashed and dies. It's kind of funny, right?
Yeah, it's just
like I was not supposed to be here. I'm just
yeah, it's like a head bigger
me
than
to
its
the park.
body. Also, and just
yeah, he stands upright.
Park.
It's a goofy guy for sure. Well, that's what I think is so funny about Macago. Like he's just so shit. Like that's the whole joke is that
kind of the whole thing.
I love talking about Macago. Like yeah, he's got no noteworthy weaknesses. He's like considered to be really great.
And the I saw you graded a Magcargo EX card. That's 15 million at retail. That's 15 million at market.
It's
certainly
going 300,000 at the lowest I saw. No, that's made up. You're a TCG fan, aren't you?
I am. To an extent. Yeah. I don't know. I fell out of I was really into my local scene for a while, and I was having a great time with the cards, and then it was like, and I'm like, I work with kids also. Like I do some part-time teaching, and so like I know how to behave myself and can show younger folks a good time. But it was like I don't know, some older card game enjoyers perhaps didn't know how to behave in a way that didn't totally piss me off every time I went. So I just play online now every so often.
Is there a weird crowd to go to those? Because I would like to do that. Go to some local tourneys.
Not necessarily. I think just like it's kind of a thing with all card games. Like there's you can.
That is a fear of mine, is that I'm going to be in a tournament match and I play Nest Ball, but I like sequenced it wrong, and the guy calls the judge, and it's like, actually, you were supposed to. I don't know what is something. You played an extra energy, and then I got to wait there. Like, all right, I'll just retract it. Like, no, I think you're actually forfeit, so I'm gonna like, come on, dude, let me just take it back. It'll be fine. This has not ever happened to me. I'm just imagining, is this going to happen to me? Am I going to be in this awkward scenario where this guy wants to win and he's like, well, in the rules, you're not allowed to, like, I accidentally drawed an extra card or I messed something up and then I have to just be disqualified.
You're probably not going to get disqualified. You'll probably get a prize penalty if that happens to you. And like they might have you revert. Like judges get like a helpful amount of discretion in situations like that, and they usually won't just be like, "Well, you're done playing now," because you weren't thinking about something. So you don't get to play the entire game because that they'll usually just take away a prize or something, in my experience, or like where your opponent gets a prize and then you reset game state. But I think especially at Pokemon, you will run into a lot of people who are like excited about new players and are really happy to show you the ropes. But at the same time, you even at weeklies, I feel like I would run into sweats, and like I would see some when I was really into it was like when Arceus Dialga Palkia was running around everywhere, and that was like are you familiar with that card?
No, I only know like the recent stuff that's currently meta. Started pretty recently.
I think things are a lot. They seem a lot better now. But it was at the end of the Sword and Shield series. They had a card that was Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia all at once, and they had an attack where for the rest of the game, your knockouts would give you an extra prize. And
that's broken.
It was quite powerful. Yeah, it was thought to be such. And its weakness was also, it was a dragon type with the weakness fairy type, and then they moved fairy out of the game like right after this card got printed. So it essentially had no like hard counters that were like worth playing. But I'd see like I don't know, some guy roughly my age, like, just sweating his pants off against like an 8-year-old playing their Clawitzer deck because they think Clawitzer is the best guy ever, and
Oh dear.
they're just like absolutely steamrolling them, and they have you will run into that just because, like, I don't know, at most like locals I've been to, I mean, like the age gaps are like usually pretty well enforced, but like, I don't know, some people probably won't know how to behave themselves. Like, I will be realistic with you about that, but because it's Pokemon at the same time, there are a lot of like, I've played with a lot of parents. There's like really pleasant experiences where the parents are like, yeah, I just come out to, you know, like me and little Jimmy, we both love
that's
we
nice.
both love Executor, and like I'm a huge Executor fan, and I don't know how to play the game, so here I am with my palm tree that I love so much, and then we just get to have a nice chat.
And
I
Iron
think.
Hands EX boss's orders, KO Executor, 2 prizes.
Yeah. Sorry that you play with your
Sorry,
favorite
pal.
Pokemon. I've gotta do some Goldengo Make It Rain plays.
Radiant
here.
Greninja, I might play my Palkia V-Star, transferring 3 water energy onto Radiant Greninja, knocking out your 2 Executes, leaving you no chance to evolve. Interesting story about your son. However, have you considered Radiant Greninja?
So I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, but like certainly more than like I think card games that maybe even have like a bit of a reputation for being like sort of difficult to access. Like I think Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh are just, as they get older and have more text on their cards, they become more difficult to grasp as a beginner. But you should have a good time at a local, especially if it's a local. Like, people are hopefully playing to learn.
Yes, I would hope so. All right. We've been talking for quite a while, so I'll leave it with one last question here. From Insert Funny Thing here. Who would win between you and 5 Shroomish? Interesting question. Because Shroomish is like not a very powerful Pokemon. It's a little mushroom. But he does have Spore. Or he can learn Spore, but that would be at a higher level.
That's what I was thinking. I feel like there's sort of an issue here that I don't have. Like, presumably in the scenario, like I've got like what, like, you know, in the context of the world, I've got like normal type moves, maybe a fighting type move or two, but I'm probably just doing some punching and kicking. I feel like I would lose solely on account of Effect Spore.
You could just get like a lighter and use Ember, and that's super effective.
Well,
like light a match and chuck it at it, and that's like 10 power fire, but that's enough. You know, it's got like no defense.
If I get a match, then yeah, I would. If I have to fight them barehanded, I'm afraid of. I react very poorly to those types of things. I don't.
Effect Spore's only 10% chance. There's 5 10% chances, and maybe you get poisoned, which is no worries. That's not much damage. You'll shrug it off, and just go to the Pokemon Center afterwards. So that's all good.
If you think I can shrug off the poison, then I'll take it. I think I'll.
It's the equivalent of like a bit of food poisoning. You know, you might feel a little nauseous, but you'll be all right. Just go to the hospital afterwards. As long as you vanquish the Shroomish in the moment, you can overcome it.
Okay, then I'll say yeah. Then I'll with the encouragement of Jim behind me, I would say I could take out those Shroomish. It would be a hard fought match, but I would head to the hospital victorious.
I also would assume that it's Pokemon rules where you're playing against one of them at a time, where they have to keep switching in. So that's easy. If they're 5-on-1, that's not how Pokemon works. That's impossible. Maybe 2-on-1 if it's double battles, but even that I wouldn't say makes any damn sense.
Jim, I have a terrible revelation for you. They had a 5-on-1 game mode in Gen 6.
Oh, the Swarm encounters?
I don't know if I could handle a Swarm.
That might be true. That might be what we're looking at. But Shroomish is if we're thinking Gen 3, then 5 Shroomish would just be 1-on-1. They don't have Swarm in that.
Yeah. So as long as I get to control the match, I'd say I'm golden. I will use my human intellect to outgame the foolish Shroomish.
What do they have? Tackle? Like they got nothing for you. They're just a wild Shroomish. You'll be fine. They're not organized. They don't have like that much intelligence. There's 5 of them, but are they coordinated? Are they going to attack at the same time? Probs not. You're good.
Yeah, I got this. You've talked me into this as well. I've got it for sure.
Have faith in yourself. That's good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Droomish. We had a great chat here. A longer one, but lots to talk about, evidently. Check out Droomish on YouTube, folks. Some nice trivia videos about Pokemon, deep dives into interesting topics, and I'm sure there'll be more unique videos to come in the future.